Welcome back to the matrix. Today we're going to be talking about multiplying matrices and the processes involved with that. So, before we can multiply matrices, we have to know how that process works and what matrices multiply with what matrices, because you can't just multiply any matrix with any other matrix. First off, I want to point out how we can determine the product matrix after we multiply two matrices together. So generally speaking, if I have a matrix M by N and a matrix N by P, which we call A and B respectively, in order to multiply these matrices together, the number of columns in the first matrix has to be the same as the number of rows in the second matrix. The final product matrix, after you multiply them together, is going to have the dimensions of M by P. So therefore, AB will be M by P dimensions. Let's look at a couple examples. We'll start off with matrix A being a 3 by 5 and matrix B being a 5 by 2. So first we want to determine whether or not we can actually multiply them, and then we want to see what the final dimensions are going to be if we can multiply them together. So because the number of columns on matrix A is the same as the number of rows on matrix B, and we are putting it in the order of A first and B second, then we can say yes, you can multiply them together. The final matrix is going to be AB, which is going to have the dimensions of a 3 by 2 matrix. The next matrix, or couple of matrices, is A and B, where A is 4 by 2 and B is 4 by 5. So looking at the number of columns, we have 2, and the number of rows here we have 4. Well, they don't match. They're not the same. They're not equal. So no, we cannot multiply them together. So let's look at the actual process of multiplying matrices together. So here's the general case for multiplying matrices. We're going to start with the top row in matrix A and then the first column in matrix B. So we start off with the first element in A and we multiply that with the first element in B, and that goes here, AE. Then we're going to take the second element in the first row of A and multiply that with the first element in the second row in B. And we're going to add that product to AE. We continue that process by then multiplying C with E, and then we put that here. And then we're going to take D and multiply that with G, and we add that to CE here. Then we switch over to the second column, and then we multiply the first row, A with F, and then we put that here, and then we're going to multiply B with H, and that goes here. And then finally the second row with the second column of B. So C and then F and then D and H. It's a bit confusing at first. So we're going to come up with, I'm going to give you some tools to help you. Actually, you're going to make the tools. Let's start with an actual multiplication problem with numbers. Now, I'm going to highly recommend, and I'm serious, that you get a couple little strips of paper. to cover up some of the numbers so we can focus on what we're multiplying by. So when you first start doing this, I'm serious, get a couple strips of paper. Now, I can't use the paper directly on my screen here, but I have a couple simulated pieces of paper. And I'm going to cover up, so matrix A here, I'm going to cover up the second row because we're going to start multiplying the first row. So I'm going to cover up the 1 and 5. So we cover up the second one, and then we're going to cover up the second column in matrix B, like so. Now we're focused just on the first row in matrix A and focused on the first column in matrix B. And now we will start our multiplication process. So I'll start off by multiplying the 2 with the 1. So for my product matrix, I'm going to have 2. And then I'm going to multiply the negative 3 with the 3 here. And we're going to add that. That's going to give us negative 9. Okay, so we have the first element in our product matrix. Now I'm going to take this strip and cover the first row. And now we continue the process. Now I'm going to multiply 1 times 1, which gives us 1. And then 5 times 3, which I add to there, 15. Okay, so now we've done first row, second row with the first column. Now we switch the columns, so we cover up the first column. And then we start this process over again. So then we're going to do the first row and then second row on the second column. So 2 times negative 4, that's going to give us negative 8. Then we're going to multiply the negative 3 with the negative 2. And that's going to give us a positive 6. So we have negative 8 plus 6. And then I'm going to do the second row in our first matrix. And then we're going to say 1 times negative 4, which gives us negative 4. And then 5 times negative 2, which is going to give us negative 10. All right, that was the hard part. Now we just simplify each element in our product matrix. So 2 plus negative 9 gives us negative 7. 1 plus 5 gives us 16. Negative 8 plus 6 gives us negative 2. And then negative 14 plus negative 10 gives us, or negative 4 plus negative 10 gives us negative 14. And here is our product. Now trust me when I say the more practice you do with this, the better you get and the easier it comes. The first few times is going to be challenging. So it's going to take some practice. I even recommend going into your textbook, work a couple odd problems in your textbook, and then check them in the back to see if you're doing it right. But use a couple slips of paper to help you focus on which part we're going to do. Okay, so to review, we start off with the first row and first column, 2 with the 1, negative 3 with the 3. Then we do second row, first column, 1 with 1, 5 with 3. Then we move on to the second column, and then we reset the first one. And then first row, so 2 with negative 4, negative 3, negative 2. And then finally the second row, second column, 1, negative 4, 5, negative 2. Okay, so we're going to be using